All right. Well, welcome, Sean. You're now an official part of the Harris School family, and we're so excited to have you join us today. The number is 118, 119, and growing. So I think by the time we're done, we're going to have a few hundred participants when you count all the people in their living rooms that are watching today. But
Yeah, he did.
Sean, I first would like to talk to you about what you're doing with Run Third before we talk about all the different ways you've influenced the world. But
Sure.
for us, we have so many kids that are runners in the Zaharis community, and Mrs.
What's your
Frazier
first answer? Something
is one of the leading reasons of that. But tell us a little bit about Run Third and how that got started, and maybe how you got interested in running, because I know that you've run many marathons. You've finished an Ironman triathlon. So how the interest in running and then starting this idea of Running Third, how did that all emerge?
I think you start running when you're a kid, maybe. I guess you can start when you're an old person like me, but you can but just playing is running. Anything you do, you can start running in place in your living room. You know what I mean? You don't have to be outside. But for me, the first time I ever went for a really long run, like the longest run I ever did, which was, I think, like 6 miles. I think I was 14 or 15. Can't remember exactly which, but and I'd been running a lot shorter distances, but a friend of mine invited me to do a race with him, a longer race, a 10K, 10-kilometer race, which is 6.2 miles. And it was in Los Angeles, and the race finished by going into the Coliseum, the big stadium. And that's where the Olympics had just been. And that was awesome. So that was when I decided I loved running long distances. So Run Third happened during one of the Los Angeles marathons I did. I think it was in 2012. And the people who were in charge of the Los Angeles Marathon sent everybody an email. And the email said, "Run for something." And I was sitting by myself when I got the email, but I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know who I would run for. And so they really made me think about who I would run for. And I sort of thought selfishly at first, well, really, I'd run for myself. And if I had to choose who I would run for besides myself, I thought, well, my wife and 3 daughters, I would run for them, meaning dedicate my runs to them. But that's not what they really wanted to know. They wanted to know who else I would run for. And that's when I realized that there are so many people and so many ideas and causes that I would want to run for, that I would run for all of them. And so I went on social media and I said, hey, who all do you out there in social media want me to run for when I run this Los Angeles Marathon? And man, oh man, thousands of people sent me wishes. Run Third for my mom, Run Third for my brother, Run Third for my animal shelter, Run Third for all these different things. And so I literally, at that point in 2012, I printed them all out, really tiny print, because there were thousands of them, and I rolled it up and I carried it with me when I ran. And I said, I'm running for all of these people and all of the things they love and all of their wishes for me to run for. And then Mindy, who we became friends, her husband Chris and Mindy and I became friends when I was doing all these different Disneyland runs. And she brought a lot of her students out to Disneyland to do one of the runs, and they really liked the idea. And Mindy ended up sort of turning that idea into a whole thing that you can teach in schools. And so she started, or really continued, her after school running program. And so I don't know how many times a week they go, but there's during a certain season, and at the end of it, they run a 5K. And so that's what the 5K in Mesa, that was the kind of original idea that went along with that 5K, that 3-mile run. 5K is 3 miles. And I've run it, I think I've done it 4 times, maybe three or 4 times in person, maybe 3 times, I don't know. But it's always fun because the kids are always faster than me. They're always faster than me. They've run it twice. By the time I get done with it one time, the kids have already done it twice. And I think, kids, slow down. And they laugh at me and they're like, sorry, we're kids and we go faster. There they go. So that's what that's all about.
You know, Sean, that event has really become popular. As a matter of fact, Mrs. Frazier, and boys and girls, Mrs. Frazier and I are such good friends that we're on a first name basis. I call her Mindy and she calls me Mike. So, Mindy, tell us a little bit about that event. If my memory serves me correct, we had just about 1,000 participants last April. And isn't it about this time of the year that we were supposed to be doing that event? But obviously right now we're not able to. But Mrs. Frazier, if you're not muted, talk to us a little bit about that and how successful that's been. And we'll gear up for next year and we'll get more participants out for that than we've ever had before. But Mrs. Frazier, can you speak into that for just a moment?
Sure, I am here. So the Run Third program has grown, and we now have 13 schools in Mesa Public Schools that uses the program. So not only is it a fun time for our students to get together and celebrate with the community, but it's a fun time for all of the schools to unite for one purpose and to let the kids celebrate together. This year we were supposed to have it on March 28th, just a week or so ago. Unfortunately, we had to postpone it. We're hoping to still have something special for the kids this year, but we will absolutely ramp it up next year, and would love the whole Harris community out there with us.
Didn't we have just about 1,000 participants last year?
It was right around 700 or so.
Let's just round it up to 1,000.
Yeah.
And Mayor Giles came out and joined us.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way,
the mayor presented me, well, really everyone, they presented me with a key to the city of Mesa. Actually, is it right here? I think I have, where did it go? Oh, if any of you get locked out of Mesa, I have the key. That's all I'm trying to say.
That's awesome. Hey, while Sean is looking for his key, boys and girls, if you had an opportunity to see one of the movies that Sean has been in preparation for today, go ahead and raise your hand and kind of wave it back and forth. Okay, I know that Greg Mendez and his family, he's principal of Riverview High School. They're not even Zahara students, but they're participating out there today. And I know last night they watched the movie Rudy. And I love, Sean, I know like the boys and girls are such a fan of so many of your movies. We love Lord of the Rings, where you played Sam. And, oh, yes. Yes. Okay, I want that. Where can I find one?
Right here.
Okay.
Oh, they've got a million of these things. I have other ones too. Okay, so
So many
sorry, I
of us know
interrupted you.
from Goonies and Lord of the Rings and your most recent works, but Rudy, I know a lot of the families watched that one last night, and I was telling them in preparation that that's a story that builds hope and faith and it embraces principles of perseverance and grit and hard work and overcoming odds. And
He was one of the actors.
can you speak to us a little bit about the role of Rudy and how you prepared for that and how that film has become so iconic through the years?
He was in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Rudy's just a story about a boy who wants to play football. And he wants to play football in college. And the college he wants to go to is a really great college called Notre Dame. And the problem for Rudy is he's not very tall, and he's not very strong, and he's not very good at football. But man, that's what he wants to do. He wants to play football. And so lots of people say to him, Rudy, you can't play football at Notre Dame. And Rudy's like, I want to play football. I'm going to play football. And he has so much passion and so much heart, and he works really, really hard. And he actually finds a way to get into Notre Dame, and then he finds a way to get on the football team or become a practice guy. They let certain practice guys be there even if they're not on the team. And then at the end of his senior year, he gets on the team for one game and he gets in for one play. And it's a story of triumph about how if you work hard and you persevere, that means work hard and don't give up, don't quit, then you can achieve things that other people might not think you can achieve. And that he set a great example for a lot of people in his family and his community. And he somehow figured out how to get a movie made, and I got to play him in the movie. And so people all over the world for the last 30 years have talked about how much that movie means to them, because a lot of times people tell them they can't do something they want to do, and they don't want to accept that, so they follow their dream and like that. So that's a short version of Rudy.
Sean, I know authors, they do a lot of research as they're preparing to tell a story. Do actors do that? Did you research Notre Dame football or that particular character that you played to get a better insight to who he was? Do you prepare in advance for something like that, or how does that work?
Well, when I was the age of most of the students I see here on this Zoom call, my neighbor friend at the time, wonderful friend, good friend, Johnny O'Keefe. That's an Irish name. If anybody doesn't know what an Irish name sounds like, Johnny O'Keefe. That's an Irish name. His family every Saturday morning would watch. Is it Saturday? Yeah. What was it called? CBS Wide World of Sports. Anyhow, whatever it was, there were only like 3 channels back then, but they would watch Notre Dame football, college football on television. And so when I found out I was going to do the movie, I was like, Notre Dame. Wait a minute, Johnny O'Keefe. So my first preparation for Rudy was having a friend who lived down the street whose family was Irish Catholic, and they like watching that movie. What did I do? Rudy wasn't one where you had to read a lot to prepare for it. It was more physical preparation. Really, my whole life was preparation for it, because I felt like Rudy. When I played JV baseball, man, I wanted to play so bad, and I worked harder than anybody else. I wasn't very good, but when they would finally call my number and I finally get to go in, man, that was like the best. So all of those lifetime experiences of wanting something and trying hard and not getting it and then getting it, whatever it was, that's what prepared me. Pretty much anybody can play Rudy, I think, because everybody has those experiences. But physically, they were like, I had just run a marathon. I was kind of skinny. They're like, yeah, I know you got to put on weight. So I went into the weight room and, like that. So it was more physical preparation than anything.
What a nice problem of having to put on weight, huh?
Yes, those are the problems of youth. I have no problem with that now.
Well, Sean,
interestingly, every time I lose a lot of weight and I run I train for a marathon, then I get a part in the movie like Lord of the Rings, where Samwise Gamgee, my character in that movie, is described as a stupid fat hobbit. So I already had I had to get fat was my point. But anyhow, you were gonna say. So I think these kids want to hear reading.
Yeah, why don't we read a piece or two, and then we can ask you some more questions, and maybe read another one and kind of mix it up a little bit. Does that sound like a good plan?
They're short. Let me take us on a ride. Raise your hand, kids, since I can't see most of you, but raise your hand anyway. If you've heard of a book called Where the Sidewalk Ends. Can you see that? Where the Sidewalk Ends? And you can see here, the city is over here, and the kids have decided to go out to the end of the sidewalk and look over to see what's underneath the sidewalk. The dog's almost falling through it. That's not good. Anyhow, this is a very famous book. The author's name is Shel Silverstein. And Shel wrote all of these, they're poems, stories, all these little things that he wrote, and he illustrated them too. So I'm going to read a few to you and show you the pictures. They're pretty short. So, all right. Last night I went through and I picked some favorites, and some favorites that I thought might go well with the fact that most of us have to stay at home now for a while as we go through this process of being alone. So there's one. Okay, I'm going to start with this one. There's no picture for this one. And it's called Happy Ending with a question mark. There are no happy endings. Endings are the saddest part. So just give me a happy middle and a very happy start. So thought that'd be a good one to start this one up. One of the first things I did when I was a kid on stage was a thing called, let's see if I can find it. I made these little, no. This is a better one to start with. It's called Sick. It's called Sick. And if you look at the picture, it's a bed. And if you look in the bed, you can see there's a little person in there. Can you see that? Uh-huh. And since we're home all the time now, I thought this might be fun. Sick. I cannot go to school today, said little Peggy Ann McKay. I have the measles and the mumps, a gash, a rash, and purple bumps. My mouth is wet, my throat is dry. I'm going blind in my right eye. My tonsils are as big as rocks. I've counted 16 chicken pox, and there's one more. That's 17. And don't you think my face looks green? My leg is cut. My eyes are blue. It might be instamatic flu. I cough and sneeze and gasp and choke. I'm sure that my left leg is broke. My hip hurts when I move my chin. My belly button's caving in. My back is wrenched. My ankle's sprained. My appendix pains each time it rains. My nose is cold. My toes are numb. I have a sliver in my thumb. My neck is stiff. My voice is weak. I can hardly whisper when I speak. My tongue is filling up my mouth. I think my hair is falling out. My elbows bent. My spine ain't straight. My temperature is 108. My brain is shrunk. I cannot hear. There's a hole inside my ear. I have a hangnail and my heart is what? What's that? What's that you say? You say today is Saturday? Goodbye. I'm going out to play.
That was beautiful, Sean. You should consider doing this for a living. Maybe doing voiceovers, you know, in movies and being an actor, perhaps.
Okay. The first thing I did on stage, well, one of the first things I ever did on stage was my teacher, I think in the 6th grade, it must have been Mrs. Gilbert. She had a frog named Filbert. Anyhow, she said, pick one of these Shel Silverstein poems and stand on the stage. You have to memorize the whole thing. And that's it. You have to do it. So this one is called A True Story. And the picture you can see here is of a horse. Wait, no, there's something on the horse. It's looks like a boy. I think it's a boy. Oh, it could be a girl. Shooting. Interesting. So let's find out what happens in True Story. I'm reliving my 6th or 7th grade year now. I like to read these fast, so try and keep up. True Story. This morning, I jumped on my horse and went out for a ride. And some wild outlaws chased me, and they shot me in the side. So I crawled into a wildcat's cave to find a place to hide. But some pirates found me sleeping there, and soon they had me tied to a pole and built a fire under me. I almost cried till a mermaid came and cut me loose and begged to be my bride. So I said I'd come back Wednesday, but I must admit I lied. And then I ran into a jungle swamp, but I forgot my guide. And I stepped into some quicksand, and no matter how I tried, I couldn't get out until I met a water snake named Clyde, who pulled me to some cannibals who planned to have me fried. But an eagle came and swooped me up, and through the air we flied. But he dropped me in a boiling lake 1,000 miles wide, and you'll never guess what I did then. I died. Yeah. Okay. There's a couple more here. Oh, this one's fun. It's a short one. I wonder if I should show, yeah, I'll show you the picture first. It's called boa constrictor. Do you guys know what a boa constrictor is? Yeah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, not sure what's going on with that boa constrictor. Hold on, let's see. Oh, I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor, a boa constrictor, a boa constrictor. I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor, and I don't like it one bit. Well, what do you know? It's nibbling my toe. Oh, gee, it's up to my knee. Oh, my, it's up to my thigh. Oh, middle, it's up to my middle. Oh, heck, it's up to my neck. Oh, dragon. Don't know what happened to that guy. That's not good. Oh, you guys are going to like this. Raise your hand if you have a sister. I see Gianna and Sadie raising their hands. All right, Gianna and Sadie, this one's for you. Let me show you the picture here, see if I can show it in the right order. Let's see here. Oh, there she is. But what's happening? What's happening here? Whoa. What is happening there? Let's see. It's called For Sale. What? One sister for sale. Wait, am I reading too loud? My kid said if I talk too loud, it distorts on the other end. Okay. One sister for sale, one sister for sale, one crying and spying young sister for sale. I'm really not kidding. So who'll start the bidding? Do I hear $1, a nickel, a penny? Oh, isn't there any one kid who will buy this old sister for sale? This crying and spying young sister for sale? I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to do that. Okay, let's get that one. Can do a couple more? Oh, so everyone, okay, if you're at home and your mom or dad or some grown-up takes the trash out every day, raise your hand. Okay, if you have taken the trash out at least once since we've all had to be staying at home, raise your hand. Turley, good job, buddy. Whoa, the Germains, well done. All right, I see others, but sometimes somebody, okay. All right, well, this is about someone who maybe wasn't that responsible, not that conscientious, hasn't really participated in the family ritual of taking out the trash, which, by the way, my job. And sometimes they let me do it. I'm just kidding. Okay. This is called, okay, well, here you go. You got to look at it. Oh, that's it. That's all the trash piled up there. You can see it. And who's over here? Uh-oh. Yeah, that's Sylvia. All right. This is called Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout. Would not take the garbage out. Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout would not take the garbage out. She'd scour the pots and scrape the pans, candy the yams and spice the hams, and though her daddy would scream and shout, she simply would not take the garbage out. And so it piled up to the ceilings, coffee grounds, potato peelings, brown bananas, rotten peas, chunks of sour cottage cheese. It filled the can, it covered the floor, it cracked the window and blocked the door, with bacon rinds and chicken bones, drippy ends of ice cream cones, prune pits, peach pits, orange peel, gloppy glumps of cold oatmeal, pizza crusts and withered greens, soggy beans and tangerines, crusts of Blackburn buttered toast, gristly bits of beefy roasts. The garbage rolled down the hall. It raised the roof. It broke the wall. Greasy napkins, cookie crumbs, globs of gooey bubble gum, cellophane from green bologna, rubbery, blubbery macaroni, peanut butter caked and dry, curdled milk and crust of pie, moldy melons, dried up mustard, eggshells mixed with lemon custard, cold French fries and rancid meat, yellow lumps of cream of wheat. At last, the garbage reached so high that it finally touched the sky, and all the neighbors moved away, and none of her friends would come to play. And finally, Sarah Cynthia Stout said, okay, I'll take the garbage out. But then, of course, it was too late. The garbage reached across the state from New York to the Golden State, and there in the garbage she did hate. Poor Sarah met an awful fate, and I cannot right now relate, because the hour is much too late. But children, remember Sarah Stout, and always take the garbage out. All right, so I got a couple more, but you tell me.
Hey, Sean, to break it up a little bit, and these are great. I love the poems. I'm sure the boys and girls are too. I've been going through the screen, looking at their faces, and Sean, this is great. Thank you so much. To break it up a little bit and give you a chance to catch your breath, you mentioned Samwise Gamgee, a character that we all know and love. I know you probably get tired of responding to what was it like, you know, with your Lord of the Rings experience, but could you maybe hit on a couple of the defining moments of that journey for you, playing Samwise Gamgee with the Lord of the Rings series?
Yeah. So Samwise Gamgee was a gardener, and when you get older and you read all the great works of literature that there are to read, one thing you'll find in many of them is that the most important people out there are the ones who do the simple things, like gardening. And so, unfortunately for poor Sam, who is a hobbit, and hobbits are only 3 feet tall, so you're all taller than hobbits, right? Okay. There you go. There's Sam Gamgee. There he is. Oh wait, there's a better one. You guys will like this one. Oh yeah, look at that guy. Can you see that? You all still there? Oh, okay, good. There you go. Look at him. He's dressed as an orc. Orcs are these bad creatures. Okay. So anyhow, unfortunately for Samwise Gamgee, who would love nothing more than just to stay at home and garden, he has to go on an adventure. But it's not a good adventure necessarily. It's kind of a scary, hard adventure where they have to try and destroy evil. That's not easy. So his job on the mission, his mission on the journey is to take care of Frodo. Frodo's the Hobbit, and Frodo's given the job of taking a ring, and it's a really bad ring, and they have to throw it in the volcano. And if they can throw it in the volcano, evil will be destroyed. That doesn't sound too hard. Well, let me tell you what. It takes 11 hours of movies, worth of movies in order to accomplish it. But Samwise, the thing that makes Samwise so great is that no matter what happens, he always is there for Frodo. Always. No matter what. Even when Frodo starts screaming at him and telling him to leave, and Frodo kind of hates him for a minute. He doesn't really, he's not himself at that moment, but doesn't matter. Samwise is always there. He's helping to cook for him. He carries his stuff. If there's any problem, he steps right in front of Frodo and he's ready to fight anybody and do anything he has to do to protect his friend. And so it's really a story that is about friendship. Samwise's piece of the story is about friendship. And what does it mean to be a good friend? I'm sure you guys, some of you have friends. Probably all of you have friends. I'm your friend. If you don't have any other friends, I'm your friend. And I'll stick by you. So that's what it means to be there's a word for it. You guys probably know the word. Short little word, but it means a lot. Loyal. He's loyal. And loyalty is a value that we should hold dear. You know, loyalty to ourselves, loyalty to our family and friends, loyal to ideas that are good and important. Just so you know, Samwise, well, I don't know if you've seen the movie, maybe I won't ruin it for you, but Sam's biggest dream, aside from getting back home, because he doesn't want to be on that mission anymore, but he is, because he's supposed to, he does get back home, and he does get married to Rosie Cotton. So that's the story of Samwise. And then they have kids, like a ton of kids, like 15 kids or something. Crazy. Hobbit children everywhere. And they like fireworks. Hobbits like fireworks, I should mention.
Thank you, Sean. You want to go back to another read aloud?
Yeah, I think they like this better. Reading aloud. All right. I love reading Where the Sidewalk Ends. This is okay. So I remember a girl named Natalie who was really tall. Natalie was really tall. She's the one who performed this one. It's called Me and My Giant. I'll show you the picture. Let's see. There's a girl, and you can see that there's a giant there. So this is what Natalie read. I have a friend who is a giant, and he lives where the tall weeds grow. He's as high as a mountain and wide as a barn, and I only come up to his toe, you know. I only come up to his toe. When the daylight grows dim, I talk with him, way down in the marshy sands, and his ear is too far away to hear, but still he understands. He stands. I know he understands. For we have a code called the Scratch Tap Code, and here's what we do. I scratch his toe. Once means hello, and twice means how are you? 3 means does it look like rain? 4 times means don't cry. 5 times means I'll scratch you a joke, and 6 times means goodbye. Goodbye. 6 times means goodbye. And he answers me by tapping his toe. Once means hello, friend. 2 taps means it's very nice to feel your scratch again. 3 taps means it's lonely here with my head in the top of the sky. 4 taps means today an eagle smiled as she flew by. 5 taps means, oops, I just bumped my head against the moon. 6 means sigh, and 7 means bye. And 8 means come back soon, soon, soon. 8 means come back soon. And then I scratch 1,000 times, and he taps with a bappity bim, and he laughs so hard he shakes the sky. That means I'm tickling him. Like that one. Oh, this is one of my favorites. I read this to the kids all the time. All the rest I've done were kind of serious. This one's kind of silly. I hope you're laughing because those are supposed to be okay. This is called the unicorn. You guys ready for the unicorn? Here comes the unicorn. You know what a unicorn is, right? You don't eat it. That's like regular corn. Okay. A long time ago, when the earth was green and there was more kinds of animals than you ever seen, and they run around free while the world was being born, and the loveliest of all was the unicorn. There was green alligators and long-necked geese. There were humpy-bumpy camels and chimpanzees. There was cats and rats and elephants, but as sure as you're born, the loveliest of all was the unicorn. But the Lord seen some sinning, and it caused him pain. He said, stand back, I'm going to make it rain. He says, hey, brother, no, I'll tell you what you do. Go and build me a floating zoo. And you take 2 alligators and a couple of geese, 2 humpy-bumpy camels, 2 chimpanzees, take 2 cats and rats and elephants, but as sure as you're born, Noah, don't you forget my unicorn. Now Noah was there, and he answered the calling, and he finished up the ark just as the rain started falling. He marched in the animals 2 by 2, and he called out as they went through, hey, Lord, I got your 2 alligators and your couple of geese, your humpy-bumpy camels and 2 chimpanzees. Got your cats and rats and elephants, but Lord, I'm so forlorn because I don't see no unicorn. Old Noah looked out through the driving rain, but the unicorns were hiding, playing silly games. They were kicking and splashing in the misty morn. Oh, them silly unicorn. And then the goat started goating, and the snake started snaking, and the elephant started elephanting, and the boat started shaking, and the mouse started squeaking, and the lion started roaring, and everyone's aboard but the unicorn. I mean, the green alligators and the long-necked geese, the humpy-bumpy camels and the chimpanzees. Noah cried, close the door, because the rain is pouring, and we just can't wait for them unicorn. Then the ark started moving, and it drifted with the tide, and the unicorns looked up from the rock and cried, and the water came up and sort of floated them away. Well, that's why you never see a unicorn to this day. Oh, you'll see a lot of alligators and a whole mess of geese. You'll see humpy-bumpy camels and a lot of chimpanzees. Oh, you'll see cats and rats and elephants. But sure as you're born, you ain't never going to see no unicorn. This is a very short one. This one is called love. Okay, who knows how to spell the word love? Just say it out loud. No, everybody say it at the same time. Together, ready? L. That's right. 4 letters. L-O-V. In ASL, it's L-O-V-E. Okay, I don't know if any of you know ASL. My kids are taking that one. All right, it's called love. I'm going to show you the picture. You know, kind of messes up the ending, but you should see it. Look at that. Look at that girl with a V. There she is with a V. It's called love. Ricky was L, but he's home with the flu. Lizzie, our O, had some homework to do. Mitchell, E, probably got lost on the way. So I'm all of love that could make it today. There you go. See, take that one out. I think I have like 2 more. We'll leave that one for last. Oh, that's kind of a fun one. Ooh, girls in my house, well, I just about said something that wasn't true. Raise your hand if you're stubborn. Now look at your parent and see if they're pointing at you. Yeah, I'm not stubborn at all. Okay, this one is called stubbornness. And you'll see it's about these 2. This guy here and that guy there. You know what kind of animals those are? All right. It's called stubbornness. There was a funky donkey and a spunky monkey. They were sitting by the railroad track. Said the funky monkey to the spunky monkey, I'm going off to somewhere and I won't be back. Said the spunky monkey to the funky donkey, if you wait for me a minute or 2, I'll go say goodbye to the frivolous fly and I'll come along with you. Said the spunky monkey to the funky donkey, this road looks long and wide. So if you'll just pick me up and carry me a while, I'd sure be much obliged. So the funky donkey said to the spunky monkey, I was going to ask the same of you. So we better just wait till we get it straight as to who's going to carry who. Now the funky donkey, he ain't going nowhere lest somebody carries him. And the spunky monkey won't carry no donkey, so their future's looking dim. And they're still sitting back by that railroad track. They'll be there till the moon turns blue. But they ain't gonna ride because they just can't decide as to who's gonna carry who. All right, last one. I like this is a really short one, but this is what Shel Silverstein wrote. There's no picture on it, but I feel the same way about reading to you that Shel Silverstein feels about writing to me and you. It says, are you listening? If you're listening, go like this. Okay. Years from now, although I cannot see your face, wait a minute, I can see their faces. Forget it, I'm not reading it. No, wait, I'll read it anyway. Years from now, although I cannot see your face, as you flip these poems a while, somewhere from some far off place, I hear you laughing and I smile. There you go. Boom.
Sean, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. You must have burned 750 calories just reading to us today.
Honestly, I could read it all day long. I love it so much. It's the thing about Shel Silverstein is that, first of all, he writes it as though he's just kind of a normal dude, you know. Well, I talk like this and I talk like that, even though you know he was probably a very sophisticated guy. His vocabulary is probably very strong, but I think he likes speaking normal. And then we always like things that rhyme for some reason. There's lots of poems that are great poems that don't rhyme, but there's something about the fact that he understands the truth about kids and the truth about grown-ups too, that when he can take those ideas, his observations about kids, like they don't want to take out the trash or they want to tell made-up stories or that kind of stuff, and he can put it in a way where it rhymes, but it still makes sense, and you can tell it like a story. A story you can tell that rhymes. That's a good kind of story. Anyhow, it just speaks to me, and I love it. So I'm glad that I got to share some of it with you guys, you big kids that I'm looking at. Raise your hand if you liked it.
Hey, Sean, I noticed you've got a library behind you. What do you like to read? What are you reading? What do you enjoy reading?
Oh, these are all political books and history books. And well, I got a whole shelf of Tolkien here. That's a little bit more fun and entertaining. Well, there's Shakespeare. I like some Shakespeare books. Great Gatsby. Oh, my daughter's reading The Great Gatsby now. I got it on my shelf. Look at that. Oh, I don't care. I mean, if you looked in my my e-reader, you'd see all kinds of books. Books on running, books on. I really like politics and government. And even though it's so gross now, politics is so gross now, but even if it's gross and even if people can't agree on stuff, it's really important. You know, we take money in and then we spend it. Taxes and then we spend. It's really important where we choose to spend our money. So if you want to have something to do with where we spend our money, then you got to understand how the people get there. So anyhow, I do a lot of politics. What else would you see? Oh, I don't know. Lots of stories, I guess.
Hey, Sean, could we maybe give the kids an opportunity to ask one or two questions before we let you go? Would that be okay?
Yeah, no problem. Listen, I'm trapped at home for the next month, so I got tons of time. I just want to get my plug before this thing cuts out. But go ahead, and will I be able to see who's asking the question?
Yeah, boys and girls, if you have a question that you'd like to ask Sean, go ahead and raise your hand. I can see you. Actually, I'm looking at a few of the boxes across right now, and I'm seeing Morgan Reeves. Morgan, how are the Reeves family? I see your mom there too. Is there anything that the Reeves would like to ask Sean? I'm going to go ahead and unmute you.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, go ahead, Morgan.
What runs do you usually do that are annual in Arizona?
Nice question. Morgan, are you about 14, 15, 13?
12.
12. Are you tall?
Yeah.
You're kind of tall for your age, yeah. Compared to, me, everyone's tall. I'm kind of short. You just remind me of my daughter, Elizabeth. You kind of look alike. She's sitting on the couch in there with the thing in her ear talking about, I don't know, calculus or something I never understood. Well, I try to make it to the Mesa Run Third 5K. There's been 5 of them so far, and I think I've made 3 of them. So I like to try and get there. But let's see. My running has slowed down a lot in the last couple of years. Every time I start training for a good run, I get a job and I travel. But let's see, what I really like doing, and this is not something necessarily that kids can do right away, but where is she? When I go to another town, and I go to cities all over the world, and usually I get there on a Friday and I leave on a Sunday. I go to these conventions, and I've been to 150 of them. And every time I get there, I look around and think, is there a 5K or a 10K or a half marathon that's being run in the city Saturday or Sunday morning? And so, sometimes they're sold out and you can't get in. But a lot of times I'll wake up at, 5:30, 6 in the morning, and I'll go out and run in one of these 5Ks, or I did a couple of half marathons. We were watching The Office together the other day, and there's a scene where they go get married at Niagara Falls. And I'm like, hey, I ran a half marathon at Niagara Falls because I had a convention in Niagara Falls a few years back, and it was actually a women's, I think it was a support breast cancer run. And it's really amazing because people have figured out in the last 15, 20 years that running is not just good exercise, it's just a way to bring people together. And so you can bring people together for all sorts of ideas and reasons and causes and stuff. So I find places to run. I've run 13 big city marathons, LA 4 times, San Francisco, Chicago. I did one in Florida, New York, Boston Marathon. The triathlon in Hawaii counts for marathon. Am I missing any? Probably missing some there. Oh, Portland, Oregon. So I owe one for Arizona. I want to do all 50 states. So I need to get my shoes on and start running again. But anyhow, that's a long answer to a short question. But it's great. It's a great thing to do to maybe plan with your family. I don't know if you run by yourself or if you run with your family, but with the Disney races, they were so popular because my kids aren't big runners. They all have asthma, but they love going to Disneyland. So when Disneyland started doing their runs, we would go, and I would get up early in the morning and do a half marathon or 10K or whatever, and then we'd all go play in the park. So I loved going to Disneyland for that reason. But you can do it for any reason. Sometimes there's a place you want to see or you want to go, or I don't know. Anyway, the good thing is if you're training with Mindy, she's giving you a good foundation for how you protect yourself. It's really important to protect yourself when you're running. There's like cars and stuff, you don't want to get in trouble there. But also you don't want to overdo it. You got to protect your body. You got to eat right. Nutrition is the most important thing. More important than the actual running. If you want to be a good runner, you got to eat right. But anyway, I could go on for hours about that.
Well, Sean, if you run an Arizona marathon, we will have a Zaharis posse to surround you, buddy. Hey, Yvonne has had her hand up for a very long time. Hello, Yvonne.
Hold on, I can hear you. I'm just going to get my plug, but keep talking. Yvonne, go ahead and say hello and ask a question.
So, what was your favorite actor working with on season 2 of Stranger Things?
Wait, say your name again.
My name's Yvonne.
I know, Yvonne. I'm just trying to get you to switch to active speaker. Okay. Yvonne, say hello again.
Hi. So.
Oh, there you go. Okay, now I see you. Yvonne. Oh, my favorite character. Well, the kids are all awesome, but Joyce is like my friend. Winona's my friend. So all my scenes are with her. Almost all my scenes are with her. Well, her and Demma Dogs. But okay, hold on one second, guys. I'm just gonna get my thing.
Yvonne, whose class are you in?
I'm in Miss Prockengookins.
I think you've been on every single time I've read aloud, and you've asked a question or two. Thanks for being such an active participant, Yvonne. By the way, I looked over your shoulder and I saw your mom recording this. Maybe you're going to be on Facebook tonight. While we're waiting for Sean.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay, I just got to plug this thing in. Yvonne, can you say your teacher's name again? That name sounded spectacular.
Miss Prockengookins.
That's an awesome name.
Those are actually
like
two teachers, Sean. They split a teaching contract. It's Heather Gookin and Kimberly Prock. And so they call them Prock and Gookin. And then sometimes they just combine them together and call them Prukin.
Well, I haven't met them yet, but for the rest of my life, I'm going to think of them as Prop and Gookin. Thank you for that question, kiddo. So Joyce, that's my answer. Whew. I'll try and give shorter answers so more kids can ask questions.
Oh, okay. All right. So it was Joyce. Did you get that, Yvonne? Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? Let's see, Jermaine family. We're unmuting you, Jermaine family. At least we're trying to unmute you. Okay, Jermaine family, you're up.
What your favorite character that you've ever played in a movie?
Ooh, what's your name?
Bowen.
Bowen or Rowan?
Bowen.
Oh, okay. Good question. Let's see. My favorite character I've ever played in a movie. Well, the ones I'm most known for are Mikey from the Goonies and Rudy and Samwise Gamgee from Stranger Things. But when I get asked that question, I like to think of a different movie. And I did a movie called The Color of Magic. And the character I played in The Color of Magic was named, it's a goofy name. You ready? Two Flower. That was my character's name. And Two Flower was just so happy. He was the first tourist to ever visit the Disc World. The Disc World is a world where there were wizards and dragons and all kinds of cool things. And he came there and he had a luggage. His luggage was like a trunk. And the trunk had like 100 feet and would run around. And he would open it up and there'd be gold or whatever he wanted. It was kind of like Mary Poppins' bag. Like he'd open it up and he's like, I wish I had 10 swords. He'd open it up, whoop, there's 10 swords. And yeah, I just had so much fun playing that character. I love that book, The Color of Magic by Terry Pratchett. You guys, I think it might be more of a high school book, but maybe not. I don't know. Depends on how much you like reading. It's an English book, so there's lots of references in there to things that you see in England. So it kind of take a little bit, but anyhow, yeah, good question.
Okay, how about one more question for Sean? And I'm looking at the Baldwin family. We're going to unmute you. Hello, Baldwin family. How are you?
Good.
Good. Do you have a question for Sean?
Yeah. How old are your kids?
Ah, you guys are cute. Took me a minute to see you. Okay. How old are my kids? Yeah, I would have them come in here and say hello to you, but they're literally in class. They're on class. Can you say on class because it's online? They're on class right now. Let's see. Allie, my oldest one, is. I'm going to show you a picture of them. See if I can show you a picture. Allie is 23. She finished college last year. We're very proud of her. Will I ever be able to get this thing done? See, okay, wait. Okay, so that's my wife, Christine. And then Allie is next to her. And then that's Allie, she's 23. That's Elizabeth. Morgan, do you see what I mean? How you kind of look alike? Where is she? Oh, that's Allie. That's Elizabeth. And that's Bella. So 17 and 14. 23, 17, and 14. Long answer to a short question. Thank you for asking it. Yeah, they're awesome. They're so big now.
I have one more question. Did those traps really actually work in Goonies? Movie trap.
Yes.
In Goonies?
Yes. There was actually another actor who played Data. And when we shot that scene, he fell down and the pincher's apparel didn't work, splat. So they had to get another actor. Do you believe me? See, I'm kind of in where the sidewalk ends mode. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's what are you kids doing to me? They some of them really did work. Like at one point on the pirate ship, we pull on a thing and the trap door opens and stuff falls down. That one worked. The water slide, really, there was a real water slide. Actually, two water slides. One that went way around one stage, and then the other one where the pirate ship was built. You know, if you picture a stage, or whatever. Picture a square. And on one side of the square is the pirate ship. On the opposite side of the square was the opening where we would get in and we just come out of the slide and land in the water. So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Thank you for that good question.
Sean, on behalf of the entire Zaharis School family, we can't thank you enough. We consider you part of our Zaharis family now. It was wonderful. It's something we won't soon forget. And I was thinking of how we might be able to return the favor and how, as the leader of this school family, I might be able to support you. And I think the best way might be to support your Run Third organization